Hey, comic book community, Math Boy Comics here again, coming from the West Coast here in sunny Southern California. This is my second video, and as promised, I was trying to do 2 to 3 videos per month. I might be doing them a little more frequently. What I'd like to do is continue with the pull list that I currently have and what I'm reading, and show you, which books those are and what, what my thoughts on those, have been thus far since reading them. I'm going to cover Gwenpool and also the Uncanny Inhumans. So we have Gwenpool 0. Let's see here. Number 1, number 2, 3, 4, and I believe I just got 5 a couple weeks ago, or last week, I think. Story's fun. It's it's a simple story about Gwenpool, getting brought into the main universe, and it's not right to call it the 616 anymore, but but basically she's now here. She used to be just a normal reader. That's why she has the same I guess quote-unquote superpower as Deadpool, in that she can break the fourth wall, talk to the reader simply because she used to be one. And the other thing that she can do that I think also is related to Deadpool is that ability to reference anything that has been documented on comic books that would then determine like any villain or any superhero's deepest, darkest secrets. And for example, in issue number 2, I'm going to pull that out, Gwenpool lets the mighty Thor, Lady Thor, know that she's Jane Foster. And here in issue 5, she lets Miles Morales know that she knows he's Spider-Man. So it's odd. These as a new reader, I wasn't necessarily too familiar with some of the characters that they brought in. Like there was a person by the name of MODOK, or person or alien or whatever you want to call it, that was like in that first story arc. I found it kind of kooky, and now there's a boss on top of him that she now also has to deal with, that I don't think he's disclosed who he is at this point, but I think that they're going to show that in issue number 6. I'm going to continue with this. I just think that something special is probably going to happen to it, with the series. That's simply my own personal speculation. I say that because, this was literally born out of the community wanting this particular, character to be. I mean, starting off with Deadpool Secret War number 2, that had the variant of Gwenpool in the pool, and she was basically Gwen Stacy and Deadpool mashed up. So I think that they are just going to have this be one of those like quirky, odd things that doesn't necessarily have to get tied into the rest of the Marvel universe as like crossovers or anything like that. They may have like little mini things with the younger generation, like the Champions group, but outside of that, nothing where it would be like, I would presume it wouldn't necessarily be with like Iron Man or Captain America. And that's kind of a good thing for me, because it just keeps the story simple. It's one of those things you just read through, and it's a nice quick read, fun. Doesn't have to tie into too many other stories, and feel like you're missing out on anything. So let me get this out of the way. Now the second series that I'm going to show, and I'm only going to keep it to 2 series this time around, simply because I've gone through a pretty good run of issues thus far with the Uncanny Inhumans. This is issues 0, 1, let's see here, 2 is this one right here, 3, 4, And I'm going to stop there. I'm going to continue in a bit. Let me talk about this. This first story arc was pretty awesome. It brought into the fold of telling Kang the Conqueror and also Ahura, which is the son of Medusa and Black Bolt. I kind of just bought in, like, just on blind faith of following the Inhumans, particularly because of Black Bolt and and his involvement in the Illuminati, and also just his powers, I think, are just ridiculously ridiculously amazing and destructive. So I thought that was pretty interesting. They show the power in this first story. They show that what a fully matured Ahura's powers can look like, and they are pretty impressive as to what how he was able to render Kang the Conqueror pretty much under his thumb. He was able to put him in check in a very impressive way. The second story arc, called The Quiet Room, I wasn't all too impressed with it. They basically have like a safe haven with respect to I guess in New Attilan. However, the story really didn't say it. I just didn't feel like it it gave much to be desired. I think on top of that, I'm showing here books 5 through 9. They also, in these last two comics, they are also going into, sorry, actually, it starts right here with the new storyline, but 4, 5, and 6, it was not that interesting. They did not necessarily give me much as to understand how to develop the characters any more than they did. I definitely thought it was more of a filler. In issues 8 and 9, I thought that this was pretty awesome, because they basically show just the triangle of romance that happened between Medusa and Crystal and also Johnny Storm, and why Johnny's there, how Medusa was able to foster that relationship. I thought it was interesting. I think that it's, for somebody who really enjoys the Fantastic Four, I'm glad that they're able to keep the Human Torch a semi-relevant figure by doing this. Probably more so than they're doing with Ben Grimm over in Guardians of the Galaxy. Now, the next one was, I think, a standalone. Yes, it was a standalone issue here with issue number 10. This was pretty awesome. I forget. I think his name is Reader. He's blind. He's able to rewrite reality in a very, very short period of time, but only with Braille or things like that. And it goes through a 5-minute interaction for the most of this book, but it tells it multiple times as he's learning how to get into what appears to be an impossible jam. So the end result was pretty impressive. I was very happy with it just being a one-shot. Then we have a book that has cooled down a bit, but it kind of went nuts. This is Karnak on the cover, but this is the first appearance of Mosaic. And I would say probably 2-3 months ago, they were doing a pretty big marketing campaign where they were showing broken pictures of superheroes and talking about Mosaic, kind of like a code word. Let's see, I'm not too impressed with what his non-superpower profile is. He's an ex-NBA or a current NBA player, and but his power is pretty cool. He's able to jump from person to person and essentially take over their body and their mind, and then retain pieces of their memories. It's somewhat similar to a character by the name of Bobby Soul from the NYX series, if anyone's familiar with that. But they haven't shown too much about him, so I'm curious how that's going to happen. And let's see here. Issue 12 is the start of them trying to reconcile essentially blowing up Stark Tower. And there is going to be, like, I guess for lack of a better word, like a miniature civil war among the Inhumans, where people kind of made their own decisions regardless of what Queen Medusa wanted. And then lastly, what came out, I think, last week or the week prior to that was the annual. I got the variant copy. I think it's Greg Land's. It's pretty good. You know, the art's pretty good. The story was not necessarily, too desired. Definitely a standalone. Showed a person by the name of Grid who has like electrical powers, and then it shows some sort of like tree-like figure, I guess similar to Groot but can talk, who's a villain, and how there's like this budding animosity between the two, or how this is going to be something that can play out in future storytelling. So on the whole, Uncanny Inhumans, I'd say for me, probably I'd say like a solid B plus, but that's also, there's a bit of favoritism, like, baked in there. Gwenpool probably is like a solid B. Let's see here. Now, next, I wanted to go over a couple artists that I've seen, that I've collected some of their books. And the first one here is Phil Noto, and he is doing Poe Dameron, and also he's doing the variant covers for Civil War II. I like the general art style in that it's not necessarily too driven. Let's see here. Who am I going to cover? I'm going to go ahead and just I'm going to cover Hawkeye and then put Deadpool in there. It's one of those things, if you notice with this artwork, it's a little more close up than normal. And I think that's cool. It doesn't necessarily show too much of the background. You can clearly tell there isn't too much with regards to, like, for lack of a better word, detail work. It's more of like these broad stroke type of like concepts, or like, it's like imagery like in the mist. And I think that that's actually pretty cool, as long as the scaling appears to be right, which I think he's doing a great job here. I'm reading Poe Dameron, and it does not, the artwork over there doesn't knock my socks off like it does with this. So I just wanted to show that. Now, the other artist that I have, I am not 100% sure I'm actually pronouncing this artist's name correctly. I want to say it's like Leinil Yu. And I found this, and they actually have a full color variant. It's nothing too majorly expensive, but the artwork that I've seen for most of the work that she's done is just very spot on. Very cool. The sketch work shows just how much detail she's gone into, show the boots, the laces, what Elektra's doing, what Psylocke is doing. I just highly impressed. It's one of those things now that if I see Leinil Yu variant covers, and I think there's like one or two that just came out recently or maybe coming out soon, it definitely piques my interest, and makes me want to go out and consider if I might spend like at least $7.99 or $9.99 for that particular variant cover. Let's see here. So the last thing that I want to do, simply because I want to try to keep this video a bit shorter than the last run, which was like 20 something minutes. I'm at the 14-minute mark, is to show a few more of my books that are from my CGC collection that's still growing. And I'm going to just highlight 3 books here that are from the early to mid 1980s, with Amazing Spider-Man and the whole run with the symbiote. And let's see here. So what we have is, and I'm sure that, and then, this video is really built more for the beginner collector to understand, what the significance of these Bronze Age books are, or actually Copper Age books, if I'm not mistaken, is the idea of, you know, where did Venom come from? Like, what is this all about? And why are these books particularly significant? And what we're looking at here on the left is the less known first appearance of Spider-Man in the black symbiote suit. The symbiote, and you know, I might be getting a bit of the details slightly off, but it is my understanding that during the Secret Wars, um, Spider-Man came across an alien symbiote that essentially paired up with him and made him stronger. It enhanced his abilities, but it did it in such a manner that it used, like, I guess for lack of a better word, aggression, adrenaline, things like that, for it to enhance, you know, Spider-Man's powers. And so the issue on the far left, which is Marvel Team Up 141, is the first time in May 1984 that the book appeared, you know, with Spider-Man in the black suit. The more iconic one is the one in the middle, which is Amazing Spider-Man 252. This is something similar to Amazing Fantasy 15, you know, almost like an homage cover, where he's like going through the air holding somebody. This time he's holding two people, and it's, you know, him with the black suit as well. Like I said, both of these are May 1984. I bought both of these books raw. I actually bought all three of these books raw and sent them off to CGC to get graded. I wasn't expecting, you know, anything north of like a 9.4. I was very happy with what I got. I do agree with the, you know, with the particular grades that came up. And then lastly, the book on the right is the Secret Wars #8, and it's the origin of the black suit, how Spider-Man how it came about, and that's basically where you get the understanding of like where you know, how Spider-Man came across the alien symbiote. For people who are curious as to, like, you know, how did I understand that I basically got an 8.0 on this far left book. On the most part, the book appears very clean, very presentable. However, I do see two particular things that jumped out at me. You can't necessarily see it here in the video. But actually, one thing I might do is I'm going to grab this book and bring it closer to the camera to see if it comes out. Now, what I'm going to do is there on the lower left-hand corner of the black Spider-Man face, you may see a white tick. That spine tick with a color break, if I'm not mistaken, brings that down to a minimum of at least a 9.4. But obviously this is an 8.0. So the next thing I'm going to show is, and I'm going to flip this book upside down. This may be a bit hard to see. However, there is a bend in the top of this book. There's no color break, but when you're actually closely inspecting the book, that bend immediately drops it to a 8.2 and 8.5. So there, if I was counting through this, I want to say that I found at least 6, maybe even 7, you know, noticeable defects, as minor as they were. And in reality, if it weren't for that bend, and I would have had like only 6, you know, 6 defects without the bend, that thing probably would have come out as a 9.0, but I think the bend in and of itself dropped it down to a minimum of an 8.0, 8.5. So that's kind of where I was there. The only noticeable difference in the middle book here is this, you know, this loss of color right there. I've got the book for a really great deal. I got the first book, actually, the one on the left, for like, I want to say $14.99 plus shipping and handling. And I got this book here in the middle, 252, for I want to say like either $40 or $35. And then the book on the right I got for I want to say $35. Two of these three books were bought at WonderCon 2016, and the one on the left was bought at my local comic book store. I don't. I know that there are issues with the 8.5 Secret Wars number 8. I won't necessarily get into them right now, but I think it's just an accumulation of many different things, which is why it is an 8.5. So on the whole, like I said, I'm very happy with this. The one obvious book that I'm missing at this point is the first Venom, Amazing Spider-Man number 300. I myself am not a huge Spider-Man collector. What I might do is use these three books to basically trade with someone and trade up to a completely different book. I don't know what, probably something, if I'm lucky, where I can throw some cash and probably get FF 49, or like a combination of FF 49 and 50, or probably these three books in cash to get FF 48, so that I can start going after Silver Surfer and Galactus. Let's see here. Now, I think that's it. I'm probably going to put together in the next video within a week's time or so. I'm going out of town over to Las Vegas, and I've identified probably about like 4, 5, or 6 shops over there that seem pretty promising. Hopefully that will be my first haul video. I have a couple of books that I'm going to probably include with them, particularly this one, Amazing Spider-Man 571, which is Anti-Venom. This is a variant cover. There's a 6-book series on this, and I just happened to come across this with a book like in Los Angeles. So at this point now, I'm kind of curious if I want to go ahead and try to make a run after the other 5 books. So hope everyone's doing well, and keep on collecting, and I will see you. I'll see you when I see you. Thanks a lot.